Hi YouTube, it's Catherine Michelle. I want to preface this by saying that what I'm going to be showing you is going to be graphic imagery. It's going to be an actual skull piece that belonged to David Crowley. So if you are under the age of 18 or you don't want to see actual death photos, don't look at this. Okay, now for the rest of you, I'm going to put up a photo here and I want you guys to look at it. Actually, there will probably be a couple. I want you to look at the photo of the drawings of where everything was located. The piece of skull we're going to be talking about tonight was located near the yellow tent number 6 in the living room, which is to the left of David, more toward like the middle of where the couch kind of comes out a little bit, and Camilla's over here. This is the piece of skull, and I'm going to read that to you as well. That is included in the bag that went along with David, and the medical examiner, Dr. Jessica Lelinski, states that this piece of skull, the largest piece that was found, which was 14.5 centimeters, is what fits and articulates with the rest of what's left of David's head. Please take a look at this, and it's especially important to know where this is located so you will know for sure that this is the same piece of skull that is mentioned in the autopsy reports. Please take a look. Okay, now I want you to take a look at the close-up of the skull and tell me what you see. All I knew is that at first something didn't sit right with me with this photo. I knew something was wrong, but I couldn't put my finger on it. And then I was talking with a coroner friend of mine, and they were asking me, they'd come over and we were, chit-chatting and talking, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm looking at this photo and I can't seem to figure out why this photo is bothering me. There's something not right about this photo." And they looked at it and they go, "Oh, that person was murdered." And I said, "What do you mean by that person was murdered?" They said, "There's blunt force trauma. In fact, there's multiple blunt force trauma on the head. And look at there. There's a place where you can see where it was actually cut away from the rest of the scalp." Sorry about that, interruptions. But yes, you heard them correctly. They pointed out the blunt force trauma to this skull piece. And they also pointed out where there is a straight edge along several aspects where you can see it was cut away with something straight and sharp, something that is similar or is basically the same thing as a knife. And I was taken aback. And then they said, if you can alter these photos and run them through some of your filters, then I could probably even tell you the shape of the tool that left these marks on their head. And I said, "You're kidding." And they said, "No." So I said, "Okay, give me a few minutes and I will run this through my photography software programs, plural." And so I did that. And I only had one photo to go with at the time. And then later on, I was able to find other tool marks as well. But with the one that we found, they said it is clear. They said some type of ratchet, some type of tool, wrench, ratchet tool. And they said it's multiple. They counted a minimum of 10 hits, 10 strikes to the head, and the area that's surrounding it, which is dark, which means that he was alive when this beating on the head took place. And so he probably, they said, suffered from a subdural bleed, so he was hemorrhaging underneath the scalp. So they said it was hard for them to tell if the skull piece that they're looking at was concave or convex. They said they would assume it might be concave what they were looking at, but because it is a photo and photos can be tricky, they said they wouldn't say that for sure, but they would say definitely, and did say without any hesitation whatsoever. I mean, they just immediately went to, yeah, this person was beaten in the head. and probably rendered unconscious due to it. And they said one of the blows was probably severe enough that it could have caused death. And they said why this wasn't picked up by the medical examiner is beyond them. They said that when they were in their first year of college, just taking the first class in, and I don't know what classes they take to become a coroner. I didn't ask, but they just said that, kind of like the old saying that Psych 101, this is Coroner 101. They said there's no way that coroner missed this evidence, and there's no way anybody else should have missed this evidence. So, Dr. Lelinski, why didn't you mention this? It's not in any of the reports. This is the information I brought to the Apple Valley Police Department. This is the information that they are not even responding to. It's new, but it's not new. It's not new in the sense that it's in the photographs and it's been shown, it's been released, and we've seen it, but it is, so it's not new in that sense, if that's what I said, but it is new in the sense that it has not been talked about, it has not been covered, and in fact it has been pushed under the rug, covered up, ignored, pushed aside because it doesn't fit the agenda of murder-suicide. This piece of evidence right here proves that David was a victim of murder. People can't go around bashing their heads in and then shooting themselves in the head and then cutting off their scalp. This is, without a doubt, we now have the absolute piece of proof that we need that David was murdered. This was a triple homicide. Now, I have come across some stuff that I believe is really strong circumstantial evidence that points to a couple of the friends, but that's circumstantial, and I can't go around saying, I think you're guilty, I think you're guilty. Although I think they're guilty, but I can't mention their names. I would love to. Trust me, I would love to. But again, that information was also sent to the police. And whether or not they do anything with it, I don't know. But this is why I want everybody to sign the petition. It's proof. I mean, this is fact. It's not my opinion, and it's not your opinion, and it doesn't matter if you agree or if you disagree. The whole point is this is fact. This is scientific. This is photographic proof that David's skull was cut away from the rest of his head. He couldn't have done this to himself. He was murdered, along with his wife and along with his child, which means that either this was some random killing, or this actually was done out of rage or jealousy, could be, or this was actually a hired hit, where these guys, I forget the term that they use right now. I mean, I'm just so angry. It's ridiculous. But, where they have handlers, the government hires them and then they have handlers. And did they go rogue or were they told to? Any one of those three are a strong possibility. The only thing that doesn't make sense, and it's not a possibility, is that it was a stranger coming in and doing this. This was a planned execution of this entire family. It was a planned torture of this family. It was a planned cover-up of this family. It was a planned staging of the scene. And we have the entire Apple Valley, Minnesota Police Department covering it up. We have Dr. Jessica Lelinski, who was the coroner at the time, the medical examiner, at the time, covering it up. She should have known, she did know, that David's skull had suffered what they call MFBT, multiple force blunt trauma. She knows that. She knew that. Is that why she left after the death of David's mother? Because she left awfully quick and she never looked back. And I want to know, why did you guys cover it up? Everybody goes around so much all the time talking about how, the conspiracy theorists are such wackadoos. No, because we point out what you've done wrong because you couldn't cover your tracks. Whoever, if you were hired, And if you did have handlers and you screwed up this bad, dude, you need a whole new line of work. And they actually, why are you still alive? That's kind of what I want to know. Why haven't they, whoever they are, taken you out? I don't get it. I don't understand it. But that is the bombshell piece of evidence. The skull piece, the largest piece found in the house, belongs to David. And that skull piece shows blunt force trauma. Multiple blunt force trauma to the head. I've even identified the tools that created these injuries. They were 3 tools. One being a 1/2-inch 6-sided socket wrench, one being a 1/2-inch specialty lug nut wrench, and one being a specialty 1/2-inch Allen wrench. It was all 3, 2 for sure, but could be all 3. So, yeah, I don't know what to say. I was going to keep this quiet, but there, other photos are being leaked and talked about, which shows, the information anyway. So like it's already been put out there. So before, I don't know. It's just, okay, since somebody else decided to release that photo and bring attention to it for a different reason, there's no reason not to talk about this anymore. And I don't know if that was done on purpose or they didn't think it through before they put it up there, but I don't like my hand being forced in this way because I truly wanted to give them time to explain themselves as to why they called this a murder-suicide when it is scientifically evident and medically proven, photographically proven, that David suffered multiple blunt force trauma to the head and his head was cut off from the scalp. I look forward to seeing and reading your comments and seeing what you guys have to say. But please let me know what you think. There's one more thing I think we need to jump in. I need to jump in and add here, and that is all along. I know I thought that this piece of skull belonged to Kamel, and one of the people I showed this evidence to prior to tonight was saying that no, that's Kamel's, and I'm like, no, it's not. How that got started, I don't know, because that was the line of thinking before I became a part of the group. But again, this piece of skull was found by yellow tent number 6, which is to the left of David. And according to the autopsy report, hold on, let me go grab that and I'll read it to you. Hold on. Okay, here's the autopsy, just so you can see. David's number is 15-0366. And this states, let me find they put it on internal evidence, I don't know why, but this is the portion that I'm going to be reading to you is down here. It says, examined separately from the body at the time of autopsy from a sealed brown bag labeled with bone fragments near 15-0366 are multiple fragments of bone and hair. A maxilla with well-preserved natural teeth showing no metallic restorations is present. Multiple 1.5 to 14.5 centimeter maximum dimension skull bone fragments articulate well with each other and with the remaining calvarium on the body of the decedent. So go back and look at those pictures where this piece of bone was located, right next to David, to the left of him, by yellow tent number 6. It's David's skull. So, to end this, I don't know how or why or what the reasoning is and what purpose it was for the Apple Valley Police Department or the Apple, I don't know if it's Apple Valley or the Dakota County Medical Examiner, Jessica Lelinski, what led them to think that they would get away with calling this a murder-suicide when it's evident by your evidence, by scientific evidence. You can't deny it. He was murdered. This is a triple homicide. End of story. There's nothing anybody can say to refute that evidence. It's there. That blunt force trauma is there. That skull piece is David's. It's evident it is cut. And I will put up the other pictures. I'll put them back at the end of here too. I'll put them all back here anyway. And I will circle the areas where the blunt force trauma has occurred and where you can see for yourself the cutting away of the skull piece, that skull cap. That fragment of the skull was cut away from the rest of David's face and or head. It's murder, triple murder. This is it. There's nothing else that we could find. There's nothing else that needs to be found. We can talk about this for a lot longer to come, but that's it. I mean, it's over. He was murdered. So, those of you who did this, I told you we'd find it. Yep, and we've got you dead to rights. If it was up to me, I'd arrest you today. But unfortunately, it's not up to me. I guess you could consider yourself lucky that you're still out breathing free air for one more day. But if we have anything to do with it, hopefully that won't be for long.